substantial increases. Number 4.
Excuse me, just on the vocational school thing, I mean, they're an easy target, and again, they have, what are they, 12 or 13 communities, 1, 2, 3, 4, what are they, a dozen communities that they have to deal with, and, well, it seems to be high, and again, I don't have all the details, it's still money well spent for us as far as the vocational school and giving the kids the education down there, and providing the programs that they have. Far less than if we had to have the kids back here ourselves and provide these same types of opportunities. So,
well, if we had to provide the same kind of opportunities, yes.
you know, so I mean, it's I have to break down per pupil cost again, but that's another ticking time bomb for us, is this vocational school, and it's not just on the regular operating budget, but on the capital plan that they have to implement at some particular point in time, because they really haven't done an awful lot to that facility down there for years. So at some point, we're going to be presented with a major capital undertaking, this particular institution, along with the increased costs that we're seeing. So our vote of $12,000 less than what we've been assessed now, our vote at town meeting was a positive vote. It appropriated the money that they asked for initially. Now they have to come back to us at some point in time and get it reapproved.
Well, but this is the, well, no, I mean, we've budgeted that amount of money. We get a bill. So as long as the bill is less than what we budgeted, there's no problem.
Yeah, but right now the bill is
right now just the opposite.
Bro, that's what we have right now. We were just told we have a bill now for $399,695, which is $12,500 short.
No, we have 12,000 over that.
We have 12,564.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
Surplus.
Okay, so we actually budgeted more than enough.
More than we need.
Okay.
Well, and then we had trimmed it down too because of the news, but it's primarily because of enrollment change.
So we can still be counted in the favorable column.
Oh, yeah, and they've been notified that we did approve the budget.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. All right, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought there was 12,000 short.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And they're also negotiating teachers' contract. But that, I missed the last meeting, get tied out, but that seems to be going reasonably smoothly and appropriately for, so I don't understand the 9% budget increase. I haven't looked at the nitty-gritty of the budget, but in the salary area, based on where they are and what they've offered, that's not driving it that I can see.
If I could, Mr. Chair, going on Mr. O'Leary's thought path here, as far as the capital, I agree with you, Steve, it's probably going to be coming. Do you think it would be worthwhile to invite Mr. Sweeney in, our representative to school, and let's see if there's anything in the making or anything shortly down the pipeline that we may want to know about?
I'm sure he'd be glad to make a report.
And I'm sure he'll bring along Pat Cronin.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, no, really. I mean, it might be just, an invite to, I mean, maybe there's some information we're just, not that they're not giving it to us, they're not holding it back, but we just haven't asked for it yet. You know what I mean? It might be a good idea.
I haven't heard in the discussions I've been going there for the negotiations with the teachers.
Oh, okay. You haven't heard anything?
And I have not heard
okay.
anything in the wind there at all.
Okay. Then maybe there's not.
Well, there may be. I just haven't heard.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be inappropriate to ask them to come up and just give us an overview where they're standing and where they're at.
A yearly report.
And again, it's well, it's education related.
Right.
It tends to fall on. This comes under one of our shared costs.
Money. Yeah.
So I think it would be appropriate. Maybe if you could make contact and have Pat Cronin come in with our representative, Mr. Sweeney. Be good.
Okay.
Yes, number 4. You have a copy of a proposal that was submitted for forest management services. This is an issue that I did bring before the board previously. It involves 67 acres of land that we have up at Swan Pond. We will be hiring hiring a forester, and I will be hiring a forester to go out there and do a management plan. The goal of the management plan is twofold. One is to provide a healthy forest environment, environmentally sensitive. But the second thing is to look at a way of generating some additional revenues for the town. There is, been informed, substantial value to some of the timber up in that area. I do not profess to be an expert, so we'll work with the Forest Management Committee and with the board in terms of how that ultimately gets implemented. But the goal going forward would to see whether this would be appropriate for other town-owned lands held in general government, see whether it's applicable. So we will proceed with entering into an agreement with John Robbins, who's the forester that submitted the proposal that's attached. If we decide to implement the forestry plan and receive revenues, he will be paid the sum of $1,000 from that amount. If, on the other hand, the town decides that it doesn't want to go forward, then we will have to provide that money from within one of our budgeted amounts. And we have in the past always carried $1,000 in the town-owned land, and with the ongoing budget cuts that we've had, we no longer have that, so we'll have to do some searching. But I do have every confidence that we will go forward, we will implement the plan and be able to pay for it in that manner.
Yeah, but there's no budget for it, so.
That's correct.
So do we need to have a town meeting vote for that? Or is that something that you pay for out of administrative budget or
That's correct.
public works or something to that
That's
effect?
correct. We would do that if that were to be the worst-case scenario. But we do want to move forward in terms of having this plan, property surveyed, and ascertaining a timber harvesting plan.
And when I think of forest management, I also think of fire prevention. And I'm wondering if the fire chief has gotten involved, or is there a plan to involve?
That's actually a really good point. We'll consult along the way with them and make sure that they're involved.
You know, I remember we had a pretty good fire going, was it last year? We seem to be in a much drier situation this year, so if we're looking at that, we might want to take that into consideration too.
Good book. Thank you, Mr. Valiakonis. As you know, I was involved in several phone calls on this issue. This isn't quite the way it was stated to me, though, on some of the phone calls. My understanding was that we didn't pay a fee unless we went into the program. What it says here is, if we do not accept the program, we still owe this forester $1,000.
Yes, and that exactly what you stated would be, we would owe, if we decided not to go into the program, we would still owe this amount of money.
Yeah,
We decide to go forward with it at all.
Correct.
right. And that's not the way I understood it from the gentleman who was calling me on it. Yeah, that's, you
Well,
made,
that's why
yeah.
I asked for it to be put in writing, because,
Right.
you know, sometimes what people understand and what they hear is different than.
Right.
what we-
So I think personally, I'm gonna have to know a little bit more than myself before I commit to this, because of course, I'm not a forester, but I don't know what type of plan he'll come up with. And this is just not the way it was put to me, by the gentleman who brought it forward.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it is that there are a large number of opportunities and ideas that have been put forth in this past budget process where there's potential sources of revenue. And we're not talking about these, you know, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 chunks. We may be talking about $10,000, $20,000,
Right,
$30,000
right.
chunks. And, you know, I think we have to appreciate the fact that we're gonna have to make some investments. You know, part of the
Oh, I don't have a
Financial
problem with that.
Advisory
I don't have a
Committee,
problem with that.
the intent was to have a lot of these ideas looked into further, right?
Right.
Well, obviously, this one is
This one's been
on your
on the
lap,
table
so,
for a while.
right.
Right.
And it has been on the table, so we need to get all the facts, and if we don't have if you're questioning the fact that, you know, because I didn't have that conversation, I
Yeah.
got the phone call, but.
Yeah, I had several. I guess I guess my my question is, I mean, I would be much more comfortable if this gentleman had said, you know, my gut decision is you have a possibility of making $40,000. Then I wouldn't mind saying, I'll invest $1,000 to look into that. But I don't know what kind of monies we're talking about here. Do you? Or you may not either.
I don't want to state on the record.
Okay, yep,
But
okay.
it's, there's an opportunity to make some money, as the chairman said, and to do it in a way which is creative and doesn't really put anything. at
Okay,
risk to
well,
the
just
town.
let me ask you this, if I could, Mr. Bailey, would you be comfortable going forward with that?
I've talked to this gentleman actually over a period of time, and I'm comfortable, given the fact that he's got expertise in
Okay,
this business.
okay.
He's gone up there, he's familiar with the property.
Yep.
He feels that there is value to some of the timber that's up there. And again, any decisions that get implemented will not be made by me unilaterally, they'll be made by a forest committee who is representative of the citizens in town. And if there's not an active group, I'd be happy to have some discussions with you and the other members of the board who are interested.
Yeah, okay, if you're comfortable with it,
I am.
okay, then I'm okay with it.
Next, Greg?
Number 5, update on a conference that I had an opportunity to go to last week on regionalism, opportunities for cooperative and shared services between cities and towns. It was a very interesting seminar. It was attended by 4 department heads and the chair of the finance committee. Everyone went in there with the understanding that we better look at some opportunities to regionalize with other communities. Everyone went in with an open mind. And the theme brought up was that throughout the state there is a call for sweeping change in town government, a move toward efficiency and cost savings, despite the fact that this is cost earnings. But there are still a number of obstacles that remain to be resolved in terms of fulfilling regional government, and many of those obstacles remain on the legislative level. So there are challenges that need to be overcome. One of the areas that I did note, and I thought it was worthy of bringing up this evening, was the idea for regional public safety dispatch. I do feel that of all the things that were mentioned in the course of that meeting, that was probably the one that did catch my attention, and something that does merit some consideration going down the road. It's just an idea. It's something I wanted to toss out. Obviously, we'll have discussions with the respective police and fire chiefs, see what opportunities avail themselves to North Reading, but it is something that we shouldn't lose sight of going forward.
At the meeting, were there a number of communities from Essex County, because I think there's
Yes.
a dozen or 18 or whatever,
Yes.
the number of communities that are really working.
That's what exactly piqued my interest. There was a presentation done on that. And they're looking to expand their reach.
Right, they're very close by. Because I know, and they're into the loop, they're in the process of really working.
Of what was that, the process of what?
Regional dispatch.
Oh, they're in the
Regional
process of
dispatching.
setting something like that up?
It's like a dozen, I think it's a dozen or 18.
Yeah, 'cause they don't have it yet.
16 communities, right.
Yeah, they don't have it yet.
The number is, but it's a significant number of communities.
Yeah, and they mentioned they wanted to try to expand into outside of Essex County, so it was something that was worth looking at. If you want to turn to the second page, briefly, you have a copy of the agenda for the work session on Thursday for the wastewater and stormwater planning advisory committee. Copy of the agenda and the note from the utility superintendent and the other is attached. I'll let you read through it. Don't need to get into too much detail. At one of the prior meetings, the board had asked about the status of the Route 62 project. They did send an email to the board members updating where the project was, but one of the items that we did not have an opportunity to report on was the status of double poles. And the town engineer did go out. He has identified that there are 5 locations. You have a copy of his report that shows what they are. So there are a number of those locations that RMLD has been through.
Just to,
Yeah.
it wasn't just the double poles. Bringing up some of it, it was the poles that are smack dab in the middle of the new sidewalks. It's an access issue.
Right, those are supposed to be.
Those were supposed